Welcome back to Jersey Matters. There is a backlog of cases in New Jersey courts that is crippling the court system. Here to talk about that is Alida Kass, who is president of the New Jersey Civil Justice Institute. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
I know
me.
we have a state problem and a federal problem. Let's start with the federal problem. There's a backlog of cases.
Absolutely. And what we have is a significant judicial shortfall. There's 17 spots that are available for the Federal District of New Jersey. There should be 17 judges. There are 6 vacancies. So that's over a third of the judicial capacity that is currently unfilled. The new chief judge has called it a judicial emergency.
They're not even nominated.
That's correct.
Point out. There's no nomination.
That's exactly
right. It's not
right.
being held up by
No.
in Washington. It's being held up in New Jersey, right?
Well, there is a need for there to be a conversation. I mean, we had at one point in the state court system a crisis in Essex County. It was eventually resolved when people sort of got into a room and had a conversation. That's really the sort of the thing that is in need. You look across the country, there are other states with some significant number of vacancies, none as dire as New Jersey, but there are pending nominations.
And the conversation has to be between Senator Menendez's office, Senator Booker's office, and the White House.
That's exactly right.
And who's at fault?
Well, I'm a mere bystander, so I'm not going to be pointing fingers on that. I'm just going to be saying that when you look across the country, New Jersey is the state that stands out for having this kind of shortfall of judges that has not been addressed and that does not sort of, where we don't even have the necessary nominations.
And the president can't go ahead and nominate someone without the okay from the senatorial offices?
The senatorial courtesy still applies for district court nominations, and so the policy via the Senate Judiciary Committee is that they won't be getting a hearing until there's an agreement between the respective senators and the White House on the nominations.
How bad is the problem?
So this is really the thing. To have a shortfall of over a third, so it's 6 vacancies out of 17, the National Judicial Center has indicated that really to meet the needs of the District of New Jersey, we should have 20 judges. So sort of the gap between what we have and what we need approaches 50%. And there's nothing else that even approaches that across the country.
And probably 50% of the cases are affected, which creates a huge backlog.
That's exactly right. So there's a constitutional right to a timely trial for criminal cases, so that's where the resources are focused. And what that means is, as a practical matter, civil cases the motions are just not getting heard. And from the perspective of the New Jersey Civil Justice Institute, we represent the business community on questions of law and legal policy.
And most of the civil cases involve the business community.
That's a lot of them do, and what that means is you have tremendous uncertainty and instability on the law, the inability to have disputes. Look, some cases they just should settle, they don't need to be taking up judicial resources, but uncertain questions need resolution. And what happens is you have claims, discovery is proceeding, discovery is very expensive. What that means is you have, from the perspective of the business community, from the defendant's perspective, you have this incredibly expensive timeline that just extends and creates inordinate pressure to settle.
And you don't know what's going to happen. Predictability is like the basis of business.
That's exactly right. And so here's the other thing is, arbitration is a mechanism that conceivably could fill some of this gap. I mean, it's a private dispute resolution mechanism, but it's designed to resolve disputes in a more timely, efficient way. There's plenty of arbitrators available, but the New Jersey courts have not been especially consistent in enforcing arbitration agreements, and we actually have legislation that was adopted earlier this year that would purport to invalidate arbitration agreements and employment contracts. Now, that's not constitutional, but establishing that is expensive and, to some degree uncertain. And so you have, again, that all goes to the sort of the elements of uncertainty that exist in New Jersey and that's just incredibly corrosive for the business climate.
The businesses that are here, but you can't attract business either. I told you that I used to do a show in Delaware, and they pride themselves in not having this exact problem, and that's how they attract businesses to come here. I would imagine businesses that look at these courts are not coming here.
That's really, I think that in some ways it's a sort of a under the radar problem that absolutely affects business decision making, but doesn't get the kind of publicity that it should. Tax policy, of course, it's important. Wages, of course, that's important. Those are expenses that businesses bear, and that gets a lot of the discussion when people are talking about the business climate in New Jersey. But predictability is much more significant to business making because it can't be budgeted. You need certainty in order to, you make your determinations about pricing, about wages, about hiring, all of those things. The idea that you could have litigation pending and just kind of extending with sort of no end in sight is, it just does not provide that kind of certainty that businesses are looking for.
Is there a quick solution to this?
That's a great question. I think I remain hopeful that sort of cooler heads will prevail when it comes to resolving the question as far as federal judicial nominations go. Again, when you look across the country and you see that other states that have 2 Democrat senators working with a Republican White House have been able to reach an agreement, I am hopeful that the similar sort of approach will prevail.
That's one side,
for
and then
New
you
Jersey.
want the arbitration legislation.
And the problem that we have with New Jersey is those questions are going to have to be resolved. And I will also add that in the interim, we have a number of pieces of legislation that have been signed into law this year that exacerbate the problem in the sense that they create massive penalties, turning on disputed, uncertain points of law without clear standards. That's the kind of recipe for needing an actual judge to resolve.
Which would create a backlog in the state courts as well.
That's exactly right. And that's really, and you would like to be able to have arbitration be a mechanism that could reliably be counted on to sort of fill that gap. And so we have kind of a mutually reinforcing problem, all of which lends, to significant uncertainty for the business community.
So I guess the answer is no. There's no quick solution to that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in. Come back. I want to talk more about it. Alida Kass is the president of the New Jersey Civil Justice Institute. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, using pizza for a good cause.